We will now call the business session of the March 2nd, 2021 City Council meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. On March 16, 2020, the governor suspended various provisions of the Open Meetings Act pursuant to his state of disaster authority. The change was effective March 16, 2020, until further notice or until the state of disaster declaration expires. In accordance with physical distancing guidelines and while providing for as much transparency as possible, this meeting will not be open to the public. This meeting is being broadcast live at WCC.tv. The audio is also being recorded. The video and audio recordings will be made available to the public. According to the governor and attorney general, statutes that may require face-to-face interaction between members of the public and public officials are suspended, provided, however, the governmental body offers alternative methods of communication with their public officials. This includes public comment on agenda items. In an effort to allow for as much public input as possible, those who wish to speak or submit their written comments on a listed agenda item are asked to register with the city secretary's office by 1 p.m. today. Individuals who register to speak on an agenda item must limit their comments to 3 minutes. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted 1 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. When called to speak, please state your name for the record. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous will be removed if directed by the presiding officer. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is to consider the minutes of the February 12th, 2021 special council meeting and the February 16th, 2021 regular council meeting. Are there any corrections? There being no corrections, those minutes will stand approved as presented. And we will now move to our public hearing. The first public hearing we have tonight is public hearing 2021-131.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the following subdivision plats. Final plat of the Crossland Edition, ETJ, final plat of construction plans of the Callan Village Edition, Phase 2, a plan unit development, and the preliminary plat of the Hunters Creek Edition. By a vote of 8-0, the Plan Commission recommended that the subdivision plats and construction plans be approved.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open public hearing for comments. Did anyone register to speak?
Yes, sir. I think Jacob Bell is on the line. Jacob, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Howdy. Howdy. As Esmeralda said, my name is Jacob Bell. I'm with Walker Partners. Address is 823 Washington Avenue. Thank y'all for having me tonight. Walker Partners is an engineer and surveyor for 2 of the subdivisions that are listed in this public hearing, Callan Village Phase 2 and the Hunters Creek Edition. Obviously, we support these subdivisions and would like to see them approved. And if the council has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Any questions for Jacob? All right, we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Aye.
Sorry, you guessed my Holmes and Palmer. That was impressive. Porterud,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. We have received speaker cards for agenda item resolution 2021-135, which will be removed from the consent agenda. For this action item, this is for the replacement of the chiller at the May Jackson Development Center. And I believe Dr. Northcutt is registered to speak on this item. Is Dr.
Yes.
Northcutt on the line?
He actually is not on the line. He asked me to read for him. He wasn't able to participate, so he's submitted his comment, and I'll read that into the record now, as long as I'm not muted. At a previous council meeting, I noted that the EPA reports low global warming potential refrigerants are available for chiller units. Trane claims that it is not possible with this unit. However, they also claim R744 CO2 refrigerant has a high indirect global warming potential, GWP, while the EPA states that the GWP is very low at 1, and everyone agrees the refrigerant train will use R-410A has a very high GWP of 2088. Train says it is dedicated to improving the GWP of its products, but in 2030. Since the greenhouse gas potential of this refrigerant, RF10A, is so huge, I believe the council should, at the minimum, get a second opinion, determine if it is actually possible to purchase a chiller unit now that will not contain a refrigerant so damaging to our planet. I don't see from the agenda that this was done. With a short timeline to cut emissions, we cannot continue to kick the can down the road. Doing the same thing will not produce different results. The city has a responsibility to lower its carbon emissions, which contribute to the extreme weather events such as we just witnessed. Thank you. And that's all I had, Mayor, Council.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second, I couldn't unmute quick enough. I'm sorry. Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say I appreciate this getting pulled from the agenda for our last council meeting and the work that the staff did to do further research and ask hard questions. When we were discussing this in my agenda review earlier today, we were talking about the fact that you can't maximize all values simultaneously, and we want to move in the direction of minimizing our carbon footprint and moving in climate-friendly directions. But some of the alternatives on the market right now have high flammability or have these other challenges that pose safety risks to our residents. So just really appreciate both Dr. Northcutt raising the issue and our city staff doing their due diligence. And for that reason, we'll be voting for it.
Any other discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes, that motion carries. The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2021-104 through 2021-120, with the exception of resolutions 2021-135. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion
Motion
to
to
approve
approve.
consent. Go ahead, Councilmember Palmer. I'm sorry.
No, I'll second you, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, well, I guess I'll first motion to approve on first reading.
I'm so sorry. I'll second it.
got it.
Any discussion?
No.
Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes, that motion carries. We now move on to ordinance 2021-141.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, authorizing the election of unopposed candidates for the positions of Council Member District 2 and Council Member District 4 for the Waco City Council, requiring the city to post a copy of this ordinance at each City of Waco polling place, authorizing certificates of election to be issued, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, open to public as required by law, and declaring an emergency. This ordinance comes to you on an emergency reading, which requires 2 votes and the favorable vote of 3/4 of all council members qualified and serving.
Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval of this emergency reading.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll just say congratulations to Kelly, Councilmember Palmer, and Councilmember Sabido. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to serve with you, and think y'all are going to continue to do a great job representing your districts. So I'm excited for the good days ahead. Any further discussion? All right, please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes, that motion carries.
And Mayor, just as a reminder, even though we don't have to have it in 2 separate days, I'm gonna read the caption again and we're gonna take a second vote tonight.
Great.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, authorizing the election of unopposed candidates for the positions of Councilmember District 2 and Councilmember District 4 for the Waco City Council, requiring the city secretary to post a copy of this ordinance at each City of Waco polling place, authorizing certificates of election to be issued, repealing all ordinance or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing a savings clause, finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. And now we'll move on to ordinance 2021-142.
An ordinance abandoning a portion of the right-of-way located along Highway 84 Waco Drive, described as 0.027 acre tract of land, 1,169 square feet in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being the remainder of a portion of Barnard Avenue as shown on the plat recorded in volume 353, page 592 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on February 16th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. And now we have ordinance 2021-143.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code. Providing the zoning map shall be changed that certain property described as Lot 5, Block P, Royalton Addition, known as 9114 Royal Lane, shall be changed from C3 district classification and become and be designated to R3C district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by 5-0 council vote on first reading on February 16th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval on second reading.
Second? Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek.
Abstain. And we will now move on to the hearing of visitors. We will now open the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we will provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but will listen, ask staff to look into concerns, and provide follow-up. When called to speak, please state your name for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous while addressing the city council shall be removed if directed by the presiding officer. Are there any registered speakers for the hearing of visitors?
Mayor and council, yes, we have 2 speakers, but they've actually just submitted their comments, so I'll read those into the record now. The first is by Brent Phillips during the hearing of visitors. He states, I will be one of the several private residents of Waco, Texas, who will be petitioning this body for permission to race at the TMBRA annual Cameron Park Blowout on March 21st. This race has been a staple in our racing community and serves as an important, safe, and important community event. The economic vitality of a local bike shops, welfare, and community of local bike clubs and Texas racing bodies depend on municipal parks to continue forward. Racers from around the state routinely sign liability waivers and assume the inherent risk in mountain biking. Insurance, though both club organizers and U.S. sanctioned cycling, is also provided. The staging area at Redwood Shelter will be closely monitored for social distancing. Water bottle hand-ups, feed zones have all been adjusted by our state and national racing bodies. The racing community has been far ahead of any local or state COVID protocols, and racing has been in play on private property for many months. It is time to race in Waco, Texas again. The reputation Waco has established as an adventure racing enthusiast local extra, Ironman, TMBRA, Marathon is quickly eroding. Local businesses, eateries, hotels have proven that they can sustain operation under COVID conditions. It is time for the city to allow residents and visitors to assume the risks inherent in life. Please let us race. You will be hearing from a few or perhaps more. Thank you for your time. I respectfully request your most sincere consideration. Brent Phillips, President, Baylor Professor, fan of Waco, responsible citizen. The next comment is from Teresa Porter. She also submitted an attachment, which you should have received with the packet of registered speakers this afternoon. And she states that the Electrify America charger in Belmead has been down for over a week. Delivery drivers, tourists, and apartment tenants need public infrastructure. TCEQ currently has a grant available, see attached. And again, that is the attachment that we PDF'd you, I believe, earlier in your packet. And that's all I have, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Esmeralda. We will now close the hearing of visitors. Are there any council member reports on committees, boards, or commission liaison visits?
No, I don't have any reports, Mayor, but I would like to publicly recognize and thank the organization MKE to Texas. It is our fellow compatriots in Milwaukee who are the county supervisor, which is akin to our county commissioners, and alderwomen in Milwaukee that I have built relationships with through our investment in participation in National League of Cities. You know, we had Winter Storm Uri. I got a phone call and said, hey, we're coming to Texas and we're coming to you. They brought a whole budget, rent a truck full of all sorts of resources, water, food, clothing, household goods, things that you never thought about until you need them, like the film that insulates windows, right? To our community, and just out of the kindness of their heart. So I want to publicly go on record in thanking County Supervisor Saquana Taylor, Alderwoman Chantia Lewis in Milwaukee, and know that should the need come, Waco is right there to assist our sisters and brothers in Milwaukee.
Well said, Council Member. I just want to echo that thanks. And I want to thank you, Council Member Bearfield. First of all, this just shows you that building relationships and building that network is important, and that there's value there. And I want to thank you for your work this weekend as well, and being such a great host to these servants who came to our city to love our people well. So thank you, Council Member Bearfield. And we do thank these kind neighbors who came across the country to be neighbors to us. So thank you for saying that, Council Member. Anything else? All right. Are there any requests for future agenda items? There being no further business, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:53 p.m. Good night, everybody.